christiangeekcentral.com.
All right, so I'm ready to keep going on this game. I'm really excited because it looked like it was really going to be difficult to the point where I was going to be frustrated and not have fun. But what's really cool is that some people who did not kickstart the game but purchased it in retail stores were able to get their hands on a copy of the game that randomly included a page 53 in the rules, which is really useful in situations like this. On page 53, it says, if all player characters in a scenario become exhausted and you lack the patience required to play the scenario again, remove the place card of shame/blast from the game box and place it on the table in front of you, after which you may modify the rules of the game as you see fit. So let me check box here. Okay, here we go. So this goes right here, I guess. Looks like a good spot for it. All right, and then we're good. Initial rule change recommendations include, but are not limited to, 1. Resurrecting exhausted characters in the space of your choice on the board with all hit points restored and all lost or discarded cards returned to their player's hands. Okay, that's cool. 2. Increasing each resurrected character's hand size by 2 and immediately adding 2 cards from their card pool to their player's hands. Place appropriate tokens next to character cards to indicate this change. Let's see. So this goes here. And that goes there. Okay. And 3, leveling up any characters who have gained the required experience points without first returning to Gloomhaven. Yeah, I like all 3 of those. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and then get set to jump back in. He can't do that. He's breaking the rules of the game. Doesn't he know that? Won't somebody tell him he's breaking the rules of the game? Let me tell you why. It's because my least favorite song in the world is bop 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 ba da da ba da da ba da. Did I get all those intervals right? I didn't. Bop 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 ba da da ba da da ba da. I think that's pretty close. But that's my least favorite song in the world. Do you know why? Because that song indicates that you are going to now go back and play again material that you've already played. You're going to go back and play again material that you've already played. You're going to go back again and play material that you're going to go back again. You're going to go back again. No. No. It's not why I play games. I play games for fun and to explore the world that is being created by the person who made the game. That does mean that I am not the intended audience for Super Mario Brothers. And I may not even be the intended audience for Gloomhaven or, say, Mage Knight. But I love these games and find that by modifying them, I am able to really enjoy and explore the worlds that have been created. So I kind of think of myself as like a bonus customer. Like, I am not the true blue intended audience of Mage Knight. I'm not the true blue intended audience of Gloomhaven. But I'm a bonus customer. I'm like a bonus buy that they get that they had no right to count on, because as it is in the box, this is not really the game for me. But with just a few modifications, it totally becomes something that I really freaking enjoy. Does that mean I don't want a challenge? I do like some challenge. I don't play games for challenge. If they don't have some degree of challenge for me, then that removes the drama from the story. And that's really what I'm in it for, is the emerging story that I create in my imagination as I'm playing through the game. And so it does need a degree of challenge, but like the outcome of going back for someone else and playing something again, maybe that creates a certain amount of tension that's enough for them. But see, they're willing to do that. I'm not willing to do that. So for me, I get the same kind of dopamine hit of like, oh, tension, just from my hit points going down a little bit. Probably I get the same amount of that somebody else perhaps gets of actually losing a scenario. For me, going back and playing something again, it's just so not what I play games for, that I wouldn't do it. And frankly, I've already played half of this dungeon twice, which is far more than I would normally do on a video game or a board game or something like that. So that's why, because I'm looking for the experience that I'm going to enjoy, not the experience that maybe someone else would enjoy getting out of a game like this. So hopefully you could still enjoy me enjoying this, even though I may not be enjoying it the way you would enjoy it. If not, sorry. At least now you know what the rest of this video series might look like. So on the note of challenge, what I'm looking to do with these modifications is find kind of a sweet spot. And if it gets too easy for me, what's cool about this game is that it has a lot more options for increasing difficulty than it does for decreasing difficulty. I was already playing this on the lowest possible difficulty settings that you can, still having problems, and so I'm lowering the difficulty by changing the rules. But if that does make things too overpowered even for a remedial player like me, then at least I have these built-in options to increase the difficulty that I can take advantage of, as well as scaling back the modifications that I put in if I want to make it easier. So it'll be a little bit of just kind of trial and error, but either way, the aim is to just allow me to enjoy the tension and drama of the story without having to repeat material, because I'm in this for the theme, I'm in it for the fantasy, and hopefully if you're watching this video you are too, or at least you'll enjoy me enjoying that. Alright, Whisper is starting out first, and she is going to use the good old-fashioned throwing knives once again, becoming kind of a classic for me. But nailing both of these guys, I still haven't made up my mind about thematically how I feel about being able to draw a line of sight through enemy figures. It's fairly easy to miss in your attack in this game with all the characters. It's just like you could easily get negative modifiers or just have your attack canceled altogether, and yet everybody kind of seems to be these experts at doing trick shots between people's limbs, just the right angle, to kind of snake through, so I'm not sure how I feel about that, but where I'm tempted to kind of make some kind of a change there, I just know would totally screw up mechanically how the game works, so I'm not going to mess with that, but I haven't made up my mind how I feel about it thematically. There's just something about, it just makes sense that, like, if there's a dude there, frankly, even if it's a friendly, some games will allow you to draw a line of sight through friendly figures, or move through friendly figures, but I definitely am, I have strong mixed feelings. Well, not strong mixed feelings, significant mixed feelings. I don't really have any strong feelings about it, but it is kind of interesting. Whatever. All right, here we go. So, both of these guys, let's see what happens. Oh, crap! Okay, well, she's not going to be snaking through, at least this guy. But I draw two separate cards, so let's try for this guy now. Alright, so 2 times the damage, unbelievably. Let's see here, that's going to be... does that thing cancel my whole attack even on a multi-target thing? I don't think it does, let me double check. Yeah, it's a different card drawn for every target, so there is going to be 4 damage coming at Bandit Archer. Looks like number 6, there you go. And... oh wait, hey! Toast! Goodbye! Nice! And a little coin in his place. Her place, whatever. One thing that I appreciate about these models, there was an interview, or not an interview, it was like it was on I think, an article posted on the Cephalofair Games page, where the creator of the game, Isaac, is it Childers? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Somebody can correct me in the comments. Talked about how he wanted to kind of shift away from the stereotypical objectification. I'm going to misrepresent his words exactly, but steering away from the tendency for fantasy fiction in its visual representations to objectify women, and that was really cool to hear about. I don't know what personally in his ideology is kind of motivating that, but I think that's a fantastic thing. I think it's certainly biblical that we ought not to fall into that whole thing of objectifying, even though we wouldn't say, oh, my wife isn't a sex object or whatever, but I put a video up on this channel, and I'll try to remember to put a link to it, about how exposing ourselves to sexualized imagery can actually lead to a very subtle, in a way that we wouldn't label it as objectification of the attractive women in our lives, whether we're in a relationship with them or not. We just start thinking about them as a means of gratifying ourselves, and that can even happen with me and my wife. If I'm subjecting myself to too much of that kind of visual art or movies or something like that. So yeah, I really appreciate that. I think that's a fantastic thing, and it takes nothing away from just the cool, dark, edgy, creative visual style of the game and identity of the game. It has a visual identity all its own. So, Isaac, excuse me, my hat's off to you. I think that's fantastic that you would make that a priority. All right, now Whisper is not done. She is also going to be using this bottom half ability, Pull 2, with a range of 3, and she's going to be using that. And this is a smoke bomb. I don't know how a smoke bomb pulls somebody, but I don't know. Grappling hook. Would be cool if there was like a second title or something like that went down here. But anyway, that's kind of what I imagine, is some kind of like some nasty thief tool, like a grappling hook that she like throws at somebody and pulls them a little bit. Of course, I guess that would do a little bit of damage. So maybe it's some kind of like little lasso. I don't know. Do rogues do like cowboy lassoing? Whatever. Okay. So anyway, this punk or punkess, I don't know. Is that not gender specific? She gets pulled this way and falls into the spike pit, and she's gonna take 3 points of damage from that. Yippee frickin' skippy. So that's gonna go right there. Very nice. And now it's gonna be Shadra's turn. And speaking of having a blast, how about boom, an icy blast. All right, so this is going to do 2 damage, got a range of 3, so no problem hitting this bandit archer. It's also going to muddle her in addition to doing 2 damage, but I don't think she's going to be muddled. She's going to be dead. Once a scenario's objective is completed, the remainder of the round is played out, and then the scenario ends. No, it doesn't. What do you mean, like the dungeon starts collapsing in on itself once I've killed all the bad guys? No. This is the episode, like after this episode is when all the views are gonna drop off the cliff. Because this is where, rules-wise, this whole video series is going off the rails. Now, I don't want to break the game for me. I'm probably breaking it for a bunch of other people, but keep in mind, if it helps you, okay? And I'll remember that as well. I don't like that thematically. I mean, I remember in first edition Descent, one of my favorite dungeon crawling board games, and probably would still be my favorite too if I hadn't just played the crap out of it and gotten so into, all I see of that game is the mechanics anymore. The theme, I've played it so much that, like, when I play with my buddy, we all do the same strategy, we do the same things against each other, and it's the game is played out. But anyway, rabbit trail. When you have like water obstacles in that game, I think it's in like either the rule book or in the official errata or something like that. It says the reason you can jump over like fire obstacles, but you can't jump over water obstacles is because, as all adventurers know, it says there are like these jumping eels in all the water in Tamriel, and so there was some kind of thematic explanation, and it was a nudge, nudge, wink, wink kind of explanation where they recognized, okay, yeah, but at least they gave me some kind of thematic justification for not being able to jump over water. So until I get some kind of thematic justification for all of these scenarios ending, in my mind, if this was a role-playing game, which is the itch I want it to scratch for me, what do you do after in classic dungeon crawling, you clear out the dungeon, you clear the level, you wipe out all the monsters, and then you make a clean sweep of that dungeon, you get all the loot that is in there. Now, I recognize that could seriously break the game, even for me. So I'm not going to jump straight to that. What I think I'm going to do is rule that whatever cards you have left, you can basically, after the scenario is complete, you can play it out until all characters are exhausted. So if you have any cards left that will allow you to move around and get those last few bits of coins or make your way over to this treasure chest that I really am eyeballing right now, if you have enough cards left to do that, then you can do that. And I think, I don't anticipate that I'm going to be doing this kind of like level jumping and stuff like that. What I want to do is find the sweet spot where my health starts getting to a place that makes me nervous, but I don't actually die. And if I can stay in that sweet spot, then there will be a number of dungeons where I find myself exhausted before I get all the loot that I want, So maybe that's kind of a middle ground where I can meet Isaac. I don't know. We'll see. But for now, I'm actually not even going to bother. Because with this particular scenario, I just I don't think this situation will happen again exactly like this, where I will find myself at the end with like a full hand of cards. So I'm not going to go through the paces of actually, doing. I have plenty of cards to move around and get the loot that I want. But all I'm going to do actually is pick up the loot that would be on the path to this treasure chest, and then I'm going to get this treasure. All right, leaning over, peering over the chest, Whisper lifts up the giant wooden lid, and inside finds random side scenario. And by that, I mean a heavily guarded map to a very neat place that she never would have known about, but was being kept here. The map was being kept here in secret, and that's why a scenario. Awesome! Sulfur mine! Let's get it on the map! Alright, the conclusion reads, with the last bandit dead, you take a moment to catch your breath and steel yourself against the visions of living remains ripping at your flesh. Your target is not among the dead, and you shudder to think what horrors still await you in the catacombs below. Good gravy! Stresses me out putting those stickers on. Alright. That one didn't go on perfectly. This whole Legacy, I'm new to the whole Legacy board game, putting stickers on your board, and I want it to look pristine. I want it to look like it came out printed by a manufacturer. And I don't trust my shaky hands to get the job done right. I mean, at a glance, from a normal view of the board, it looks fine. In fact, the stickers so far are blending in very well. It's just on closer examination that it falls short. Alright, you ready to slaughter some more sacred cows with me? Alright, now listen. I am not looking to ruin or spoil this experience for anybody. There's been spoiler warnings for this video series, so hopefully that's made it clear. If you want to not be spoiled for the contents of this game, you shouldn't be watching this video series. And that especially applies to the sacred cow I'm about to slaughter right now, which is probably going to tick some people off, I don't know. But I was checking, as I always do when I get a new board game, to make sure that I have all of the components. I like to get that settled out right away, so if there's a problem, I can get back to the distributor or whoever I need to get with to find the missing component. Well, there was one envelope that I could not find in the component that was in the components list, and I was like, where the crap is this thing? So I was like, dang it, there's been some orders, some mistake, and so I did a search on it online, and basically it was kind of like spoiled for me. I had the choice to look for it. I was like, well, what is this? What do you mean spoilers? Component count spoiler? What is this? And so as it turns out, there is a mystery envelope that you can only find if you lift up like the inner like box packaging design, like the casing, whatever you call it. There's a word for it. I can't remember what it is. The housing for all the different components. You got to lift that up, and underneath is a little envelope that says, open this envelope when you feel you deserve it. And I thought, well, I paid for this game, and I went through the hassle of counting out to see if I had all the components, and then frustratingly thought that I didn't have one, and so went through this little rigmarole. Yeah, I deserve it. So if there's some other metagame or something, some clues or something that's supposed to be revealed throughout the game, my suggestion would be that next time don't put that in the components list so that I don't know to search for it. But in any case, I'm not really into the whole metagame thing anyway, and I'm like, well, what is this? How do I know when I deserved it? When I feel like when I feel like I deserve it. I don't know if the game is supposed to make me feel like I've deserved it, if I'm supposed to have achieved a certain amount during the game. I don't know. If there's something else intended, I'm not game for that. I look at this, I'm like, yeah, I deserve it. I paid for the game. So here we go. And I'm actually already ripped this open. I've already looked at it before, so I'll just read it for you now. It says, unlock Harrower Hive, number 76 at L2, which I think is a misprint. I was looking at the board here, and it appears that it actually is a scenario sticker that goes at L3. L3. Are you brave enough to face the swarm? No. So I'll just put the sticker on for now. I'll maybe check and see what the scenario is all about and what kind of business is going on there, and take it on when I feel like I can. But cool, glad I spoiled that so that I didn't miss out on content that I paid for. Awesome. All right, now this scenario is actually linked to the next one, so I can go straight on to the kind of the second half of this little story quest. But I am going to opt instead to return to Gloomhaven so that Whisper can level up. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll be back in the dungeon.